Good afternoon from the garden and welcome to another harvest video. It's the 8th of September, it's Sunday, and today I'll be harvesting for the coming days. I must say that September is just about the best month for fresh produce from the garden. It's right at the intersection of summer and fall crops, so there are so many things that we can be harvesting right now. There are still summer vegetables like tomatoes, but we're also already harvesting apples and pears from the trees. So time of great abundance, and it's an absolute pleasure to be cooking with what we're harvesting now. We filmed a harvest video in September 2 years ago, so it will be interesting for me to go back and see what we were harvesting then. I will link the video in the description box if you're interested to see that too. And just like we did then, I'll also be writing up a post next Monday on our blog about what we were eating day by day with the produce that we harvested. And I will also every day be sharing our dinners on Instagram, so if you follow me there you'll be able to see what we're making with the harvest. I must say that this year has been rather challenging in the garden, especially the month of July when we experienced some extremely high temperatures, temperature records, 40 degrees Celsius, coupled with an extreme drought here. So there were moments that I almost gave up on the garden, but it came bouncing right back, and it's looking really good at the moment, so I'm very happy about that. The absolute star of the moment are tomatoes. We have never had such a great tomato harvest as this year. Both tomatoes grown outside are doing well, and tomatoes in the greenhouse, which we already filmed a video about. But here outside behind me we have a trial bed with several Phytophthora blight resistant varieties that we're testing this year. Because of the dry weather they have not been challenged that much, but will be later this month probably we'll be filming a video about how they're performing when it comes to disease resistance. But we're already of course harvesting from them, so this is where I'm going to start. We have both small fruited varieties like this one. This is actually not a named variety because the seeds were given to me by someone who just picked them up when on vacation. We have sun gold here as well as in the greenhouse, and like one of the most disease resistant ones is probably Mountain Magic. This is a little larger one. And we have also large tomatoes like this one. Between the tomatoes here and those in the greenhouse, this is the first year that we actually have more tomatoes that we can eat fresh. And that means that I'm beginning to process some. So if you have any tips on that, that will be very welcome. Another summer vegetable that we're eating a lot of at the moment are beans, green beans. We're growing two varieties this year. This one is a French variety called Aiguillon. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but I'll put it in the description. And then a red potted one, which is called Swan. These are the green ones. You can see that the pods are quite long, especially compared to the red Swan. Which has a beautiful color, but unfortunately that disappears when you cook them. The most challenged crop this year have probably been potatoes. This is our potato bed. You can't see the plants anymore. We harvested some of the earliest. That was Belle de Fontenay. We harvested first, but then in the other half of the bed we planted Rat d'Ardèche, which is another culinary variety. And the potatoes, after we planted them, because we planted as early as they were planted quite early, they were hit by frost up to 3 times. And even though we covered them with fleece, they had frost damage. So we sort of almost gave up on them. Then the dry July, because the calendula flowers have kind of taken over. My husband was not aware when I went away on holiday. He was not aware that there were actually potatoes in this bed and that they needed some water. He forgot about them. But Even so, we did get some harvest. We're still harvesting some, and they're exceptionally delicious. So this is the variety Rat d'Ardèche. Oh, this one is not, this plant did not give us much harvest. They're quite small. There were some better ones, but because we don't grow many potatoes, we're definitely not trying to be self-sufficient in potatoes, because then we would need much larger area devoted to them. So we only grow special varieties that have an exceptionally good taste. So this is harvest from about 5 plants. As you can see, it's not a lot. It could have been more, even though it's not a terribly productive variety. It could have been more had we cared for the plants better. We'll try to be better at it next year. Even so, the tubers look good, no scab on them, so we would even be able to store them for some time, but since it's not a lot, we'll probably eat them within the next few weeks. And like I said, the taste of this variety is exceptional. It's better than almost any other variety that I have tried. In the bed next to our potato bed, we have some more root crops, carrots and beetroot at this site. We always have problems with carrot fly. The thing that we tried this year was growing a variety flyaway which has some resistance, and it usually performs best when grown to another variety that is not resistant. And then of course the idea is that the carrot fly would prey on the non-resistant variety and leave this one alone. So it has worked. The carrots are not completely free from damage, but they're definitely better than some other years. And another thing that I'm trying is to let some herbs self-sow in the bed, like coriander and dill, in order to hopefully confuse the pests. So let's have a look what we've got. Oh, this one looks... This is the flyaway, and yeah, there is a little damage, but not much. I don't need to harvest a lot of carrots at the moment. I'm only harvesting what we'll be eating in the next few days. And let's also have a look at some of the other variety. It's forked, but I don't really see much difference in when it comes to carrot fly damage, which is interesting because most years I try to net them with fleece, and I have not done that this year at all. And yet it does not seem to be the worst carrot year at all. Oh, here is a nice one. It's the best carrot of the year so far. I won't be harvesting any of the beetroot at the moment because I prefer to save this for some cooler weather when I feel more like eating it, and concentrate instead on the purely summer vegetables like zucchini. We have several plants, one in our Italian polyculture bed over there. Then we have a climbing variety on the trellis for the first time this year. And we have sunstripe, a yellow stripe variety at the back of the garden. I'll have a look there whether there is something to harvest. And we also have one plant here. And there's a nice little courgette to pick. But I think there will be more at the back of the garden. Over here we have some leafy vegetables, different varieties of lettuce and Belgian endive. I'm not picking that quite yet. That's also a vegetable that I like to save for a little cooler weather when I feel more like it. I will be picking some lettuce definitely. We've been harvesting these plants leaf by leaf, so I've already picked lots from these. I picked a huge salad on Friday for our monthly street potluck, but we like to eat, like when possible, we like to eat lettuce almost every day, or some other kind of leafy salad. But I'll wait with harvesting that right before we go home so that it does not wilt. And then there's this bed. This is a brassica bed where the second crop is cabbage, and over here oriental radishes. So let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's a beauty. This is a variety, beautifully pink purple, also on the inside, which is called K and Bravo. And I've grown it before. I like this variety. So I'll be harvesting a few to eat. Maybe if I wanted to ferment them, I would harvest more, but I'm not doing it right at the moment. So I'll just pick a few to eat, maybe with some hummus. I'll cover the brassicas again and put breaks on the edges later. But now I want to show you the vegetable that we're most excited about at the moment, and it's at the back of the garden in the edible forest part of our plot. So let's head over there. Over here is the other variety, zucchini variety that I told you about. It's called Sunstripe. A really pretty one. Can you see the fruits? This one is almost too large for my liking, but about this is the size that I prefer my courgettes. Okay, got distracted here a little bit, but let's head over to the vegetable that I promised to tell you about. Ta-da! Artichokes, one of our favorite vegetables and a very challenging one to grow, because even though it's a perennial vegetable, it's not completely hardy, and most often it does not survive the winter here. A combination of cold and wet is usually fatal. So I most often grow my artichokes as annuals. It's something that I read in the books of Elliot Coleman, who grows artichokes in the cool climate of Maine, and he also grows them as annuals. You sow the artichokes in the heated propagator to give them a little heat at the beginning, and then when they germinate and are a little larger, you move them into some cooler place so that they kind of think that they've experienced the winter, and then they start carrying fruiting, flowering actually, later in the year. We have already eaten once. Obviously the harvest from these few plants is not huge, but it's so very welcome. And there's at the moment there's only 3 of us because our daughter is studying in Canada, so I'll be picking the 3 largest ones and we'll have them for dinner. Or yeah, that one really needs picking too. So maybe 4. Aren't they beautiful? As I said at the beginning of the video, September is also a great time for fruit, and every year the fruit harvest from our young fruit forest gets more and more abundant. We have many apple varieties. Here is one of my favorite dessert apples. It's called Pinova, and it's a tree that I grafted myself several years ago. But it has been moved when we moved gardens, so it only started fruiting last year. You can see there are not many fruits yet, and they will be enjoyed even more because of their scarcity. It started raining outside, so we're moving this party into the greenhouse. There's plenty to pick here as well. We have all those tomato varieties here. We filmed a video about a review of all the varieties we're growing this year, and I will link to that below. But as you can see, the video was filmed I think about a month ago, and they're still all looking quite healthy, very productive. Here are three of our favorites: black cherry, very sweet tomato, Esterina, one that we're growing for the first time this year, and a favorite of my daughter Esther, as you can hear in the video where my kids helped me review them. And then behind here is Brett's Atomic Grape, which is my favorite from this year's trial and the most Instagrammable tomato. We're also growing some cucumbers in this part of the greenhouse. However, those plants have suffered much more in the heat of July and August than the tomatoes have. But even though they're really, I don't know, they look like they're dying, yet they're still producing fruits. This is, I think, Picarino, which is a really delicious snack cucumber, and we'll be definitely growing that one again next year. It just keeps on raining, so we're going to head outside anyways and finish the video. Hopefully it will stop raining in the meantime. There are several fruit harvests that we're excited for, and one of them are the grapes here at the pergola, because we only planted them in the fall of 2017, so this is only the second growing season. And as you can see, they're already fruiting. 3 out of the 4 varieties are already fruiting abundantly. The one here is blue muscat bleu, and oh, there's a wasp somewhere. As you can see, I covered some of the bunches of grapes in paper bags in order to keep birds and wasps mainly away, and that way I hope that we'll be able to prolong the harvest, that they can stay on the vine longer, and then we'll be able to pick them within the next weeks, maybe a month later. But they're already quite sweet, so I'm going to pick a few bunches. Grapes are one of the favorite fruits of my son, so he'll be happy. And there's more. We also have 3 pear trees close to the vegetable garden in a row, and those 2 are all 3 of them started fruiting this year. It's the 4th season, and especially exciting or especially beautiful is this one. It's Red Williams. Maybe you can come closer to have a better look. We're already growing Williams elsewhere in the garden, the green usual variety, but this is a red version of this pear. It's a well-known pear, rightly popular. In the States it's called Bartlett, but it's the same as Williams, and it's a very good one for preserving. But like the red one is just so much more beautiful. The last thing I like to do is pick some flowers. I'm not actually growing lots of them this year, but the zinnias here are very productive and doing great. They also appreciated the warm and dry summer, so I will pick a little bunch for the dinner table. So that's not even everything that I picked today. As you can see, we're almost drowning in produce. I'm looking forward to cooking with this. There will definitely be some preserving too, and I'll keep you posted on Instagram or on my blog later next week. I hope you enjoyed today's harvest video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you would make with this produce. I would definitely appreciate some inspiration, even though obviously I'll be making some family favorites. And I would also love to hear what your September harvests look like. Happy gardening!